everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Saga Valhalla, where we play Assassins Creed Valhalla and tell Viking stories.
In the body. Odors grow after a killing, so they have to escape by any means they can.
We're supposed to be ferreting out a traitor amongst these three followers.
Eivor, my muscle-banded friend. There's a nest of Wigmund's men just here. We're going to pick it clean.
Every last one.
The fewer lice in the bush, the less itchy the pussycat. That's how I see it.
How did you come to join Zoma's army?
I'd been in England for ages before Guthrum, Ivar, Ubba, smuggling under the eyes of Saxons and Danes alike. I lied, stole, had my nose broken. Life wasn't easy, but it taught me how to bear the pain. I just laughed it away. When Soma took me in, she saw more than a smuggler in me. I was useful to something greater than myself. Useful to her vision.
In a world where few saw you as worthy of trust, she's one who did.
Right. And I love that about her. I love everything about her.
You seem to bring life and spirit to this clan. Does Soma feel the same?
If I knew what was going on in another person's head, I'd find life dreadful and dull. But Soma seems to enjoy my company.
In what way?
Her own way. Just not in the way I'd like. Painful truths are easy to bear when you can laugh, you see. Delight in the face of suffering is an act of rebellion.
What do you think of Soma's other warriors? Galin and Leif?
Oh, Leif's got that raw animal pull. Every time I see him, I want him to climb me like a tree and nest in my armpits. He brays about being honorable, but I've never met a man of honor who starts a fire just to be praised for putting it out. And Galin, he broods like it's an art form. He's got this self-importance that is just so charming.
We could talk all day, but these Saxons may fly from their nest.
You and I should take a closer look. My men will hang back and come running if things go sideways.
Alright, so gonna go kill some Saxons. I think they want us to sneak in here, but I'm not entirely sure, so we're gonna try that, and if that doesn't work, then we'll
Happy I can see it up close.
we'll go the other
Don't
route.
get too close. I might black your eye and bruise your head.
You'd lose your elbow before the bruises showed.
So, we're dealing with Brynja, so I'm going to talk about a female warrior. And in that regard, I'm going to tell the story of Frites Eriksdotter. She should be the daughter of Eric the Red.
They will attack on sight.
So, to start this, let's start with her brother, or at least her half-brother, Leif Erikson. So Leif Erikson is credited for finding Vinland. Vinland is North America, and in turn, it was actually up in Canada somewhere where they originally set in and settled, and there's actually been archaeological digs up there. They have found Viking settlements all the way down into Maine and further into the United States. So, or what is now the United States, it was all native lands at the time. So he had done a few expeditions over into Vinland, and Frides, his sister, wanted to take part in this, of course, and on one occasion, well, there was two separate occasions where she went to Vinland. On the first occasion, she went to Vinland, and they were setting up their expedition camp. She was pregnant at the time, which was not uncommon back then for pregnant women, especially Norse women, to go on adventures and to go on expeditions and things. To the Viking people, life went on whether you were pregnant or not. Life went on whether you whatever it was. You had to keep moving forward, and Fridas was a very ambitious woman, I would say. In either case, while they had the camp there and before they had set up any settlements at all, they were attacked by natives, by Native Americans, and they caught them at night, and they were using war slings, I believe. And the overarching surprise of all of this sent the expedition camp into a panic. They were unprepared for battle. They were, they were still setting up camp and all of this. And the soldiers were unorganized. They were running about, and they were basically losing the fight. And Fridas, she was yelling at the men. She'd come out of her tent. She was yelling at the men. She was telling them to pick up their arms, to fight. And no one was listening to her. And she was, it's written in the Saga of the Greenlanders that she was 8 months pregnant. And she was yelling at them. She was telling them, I could fight these people better than you. I could do all these things. And so she picked up a sword from a dead warrior next to her and threw off her clothing and walked through the camp naked while slamming the sword against her bare breasts and screaming for the natives to come forward. And the act riled the men, for one, and then also terrified the natives to see this pregnant woman bare ass naked slamming a sword into her breasts, just
Some kind of trouble.
screaming war cries and engaging the enemy, and then the ferocity of the soldiers that came after when they were riled to battle, and it caused them to win the day. It was a very interesting story of a woman who led a very bloody, very very violent life, as it were. And I wish I could say that was the part of the story that was grand. This honorable step into battle and all of these things. However, on Frida's second expedition into Vinland, she went to her brother, and this is after he had made many and even had set up like permanent camps with houses and stables and all sorts of things in Vinland. And she wanted to go on another expedition, so she went to her brother and asked, "Can I take men? Can I take the ship? Can I take horses? And may I use the settlement?"
Sound carries over snowdrifts.
And he agreed to a certain amount of those things. He didn't agree to all of those things. And Fridas, she wanted what she wanted, so she smuggled more men than she was allowed to take. She smuggled more things than she was allowed to take. And she went on this expedition with two partners. These partners were brothers, and they had agreed to split the spoils of their raids and expedition 50-50. While in Vinland, the three of them ended up arguing a lot, and to the point that the two brothers decided to set up their own camp, their own expedition, separate from hers, Eventually, they came to terms, and they were done with being wary of one another, and they had a good expedition. It was very lucrative. Upon returning, however, Thetis decided that she wanted all the spoils, and she went to her husband. She told him that while they were away, that the two brothers had abused her, and that if he did not avenge her, that she would divorce him. And so he took up his weapons and his men, and they went over to the two brothers' encampment and killed the two brothers and all of their men. And there were 5 women and some children there as well. And he refused to kill the women and children. And Thetis was outraged. And so she took an axe up and did the job herself. She killed the women and the children, and then threatened anyone who saw with death if they ever said anything. Now, eventually, some rumors got back to Leif Erikson, who was at this time the ruler, with his father dead. And he got a hold of 2 of Thetis' men and tortured them until they confessed what had happened. And upon this confession, they basically shunned her. So instead of following the law fully, it was his sister. But he said that he believed that her family line would die with no riches and no spoils. And so he let her live a life of dishonor rather than killing her or exiling her. It's a very interesting thing because, like, if you look at honor amongst the Norse and what it meant, in my mind, like, everyone's like, oh, well, she got away with murder because of her brother, and that's how a lot of historians tend to view it. But in reality, what he did to her was way worse than an execution, because everyone hated her. Her family was dishonored, and they died out, and that's the truth of it. They ended up dying out. Her entire family line that led out from her bore that dishonor until their end. And he could have just executed her, and the rest of the family would have been fine. I mean, his father was exiled for murder. He was a murderer, and there was no dishonor amongst the people who were with Eric the Red or with Leif Erikson. In fact, actually, Leif Erikson's family line was very, very strong,
very well,
and very, very honorable.
Is that how you flirt, Eivor?
Is that how I what?
Easy
It's a
now,
sad
dang
end
it. I'll see you back in Grand Bridge.
of the story of a great warrior, but nonetheless a very, very cool story that, had she just continued on the way she was from the beginning, this may have been an amazing tale of an amazing woman. And for the most part of her life, I would say she was an amazing woman. I think she had envy of her brother and his success, and like most things, when you're not happy with what you have and you try to take from someone else, it tends to ruin your life. So, that being said, I will tell some other stories of some great Norse women who did not have sad ends. I just really liked this one. I thought it was an interesting story, and the fact that an 8-month-old or an 8-month pregnant woman would disrobe and take up a sword and join a battle naked while screaming in the face of the enemy. is amazing. It is amazingly awesome. It is an amazing story. And though she may have ended her life with dishonor, is an amazing story of an amazing warrior. So hopefully you enjoyed the story of Frida's Eriksdotter. I very much enjoyed it. I thought it was awesome. But I do want to tell, especially Brunhilde. Brunhilde was probably one of the most famous Viking women, and I do want to tell her tale as well, and perhaps maybe Auslog or some of the others. But Brunhilde definitely be my next one for the women. So hopefully you enjoyed, and we will see you next week. Enjoy the rest of this as we try to ferret out these traitors.
Let's see.